Hi, I'm Kelly,
I'm Allison.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Kristen.
and this is Fear and Wine. Hello, welcome to Fear and Wine. We are a podcast about horror TV shows, movies, and more. And we are finally ready to start with them, season 2. I know people have been waiting for it. It's pretty different from season 1, yet at the same time not. It's kind of like, I don't know, what do you think, Kristen? Like just a different way of looking at a lot of the same situations in season 1, maybe?
100%. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think, well, it's different decades, so I think
different decade, yeah.
what we're continuing is showing this kind of systemic racism, this evil kind of underbelly of the US, but decades forward. And I
Mhm.
would love if they do a season 3, if they moved it up like another, to the present time. I
Right?
think that would
Like
be
it's
super interesting.
time to write one. My goodness, it's repeating
Mhm.
itself. All like that's kind of what this show is showing. But
Mhm.
because this season 2 takes place in the 90s and we are 90s kids, one of us is a 90s baby. She was born in the 90s, so she's a 90s infant. But the rest of us are all 90s kids. Just bear with us because there's going to be a lot of like 90s based questions when we do our questions for this, just
Mhm.
because we love the 90s. That
I
was
mean, the
for me.
90s
That
are
was the
awesome.
most fun.
Me too. My kids sometimes they'll say, like as a joke, like you're from the 1900s. I'm like, well, you wish you could be from the 1900s because
Right?
times
Right?
will never be the same.
No.
Mhm. We
Although
peaked
as
in
a
Yeah.
the
child, it
90s.
seemed a lot simpler.
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
But
And I don't know if that's just
I
because we were young.
I'm the old one. So I was a teenager and a college student in the 90s, and I still think we peaked in the 90s. So,
I do
you know.
too, man. I think it was, I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know if it's just like too much information. I don't even know if it has to do with us being young. And maybe there's just stuff we just didn't
That's
know, so we
true.
could live in like blissful
Yeah.
ignorance. It
Yeah, it
probably was
wasn't all
always
Yeah.
thrown in
happening,
your face.
Yeah.
but yeah,
Maybe a mix of all of it. Yeah.
yeah, could be a little of all of it. So our question for today is, what is your favorite 90s scandal? So scandal or big sensational news stories, because the 90s had a lot of great ones,
Hmm.
some hilarious, some wild, but it had some great ones. So who wants to
Hmm.
start? I have a whole list if somebody gets mine, so don't worry.
This these questions sometimes are really difficult because I don't know, like I was born in the mid 80s. So
Mhm.
in the 90s, I was a kid, like older than Allison, but I was a kid, but I feel like I remember a lot of the scandals, but when I'm like thinking of the years that they happened, I'm like, well, I was really young. Like,
I
how do I
know,
remember so much about all this stuff I probably shouldn't have known anything about?
right? All the ones I wrote down, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that. What year was that?" And then when I looked it up
Yeah,
to find the years, like, I was, like, 12. How would I
right.
what's
That's
how
exactly
do
what
I
I was
remember this?
thinking. Well, I mean, I'll give you one that stuck out to me, and it was very inappropriate for me to have even known about this, but it maybe was on the news a lot.
Mhm.
Um, but the Lorena Bobbitt thing.
Yep, that was on my list. That
Oh,
was
Joey Buttafuoco? That's what I had as mine
Yes.
too, so you
Oh,
might as well
No,
talk
she
okay.
has
about it.
Lorena Bobbitt,
Yeah.
the penis.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Joey
The lady.
Buttafuoco is the one who got his penis cut
No,
off,
no,
No,
so
no, no. That
different
was the
couple. That
wait.
was Amy
Yep.
Fisher and
That was
Joey
There's a
Amy
lot of
Fisher.
Buttafuoco.
penis stuff in the 90s.
wait,
Joey
what?
Buttafuoco is Amy Fisher and Joey, Lorena
Yeah.
Yes.
Bobbitt and her husband John
Oh,
Bobbitt,
wait, 2
penis
penises
Yes.
one.
got cut off? Did I mix the
I
2
didn't know
together?
Joey's penis ever
Didn't
got
she
I
shoot
don't
him in
think
the
removed.
face?
so.
Someone
I
got
don't
shot in the face,
Yeah,
no?
The
that's she
wife.
yeah,
Yeah.
Amy
Wait,
Fisher
now
shot
I'm
Joey
confused.
Buttafuoco's wife in the face, but no
Yeah.
penises were involved in that one.
Oh, like, okay,
I think you just had the wrong name with the
I'm
right story, wrong
confused. I
name.
meant Lorena Bobbitt then, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, okay.
Well, they're both very sensational 90s
Yes.
stories, so I can see how there's some overlap there. But yeah, like the Lorena Bobbitt thing was in what,
93.
1993? So I
Mhm.
was only 9. So it must have
Yeah,
been on the news a lot.
it was.
Because why did I know about that?
It
And if
would
you're
not stop being on the news then. It was on Lifetime movies, I'm sure.
true,
It wouldn't stop.
true. And if you're unfamiliar, if you're listening and you're unfamiliar with the Lorena Bobbitt story, I think that she alleged that he raped her even though they were married,
Yeah, she
So
said, like, years of
yeah.
abuse and suffering and stuff, so
Yeah. So which I didn't know anything about that part. I think the only part I really honed in on as a 9-year-old was the cutting off of the wiener.
mhm.
But yeah, so she cut it off and then she drove away and she, like, threw it out of the car
That was the best
window.
part, the throwing it
Yeah.
out of the car window. That's what I
The
remember more
car
than
But the
window.
anything.
craziest part is they found it and reattached it.
No.
Oh, after it was
Ye
rolling around in the dirt?
Oh, you didn't
Yes!
know? Yes, it was reattached. She did porn after
Yeah,
that
I
yes,
didn't
because he
know
had
the
the special
follow-up. I just
penis.
knew that it got
Oh,
cut off
yeah.
and thrown.
yep, and
Oh,
then
he
he
made a life out
That
of
was
that.
the wildest
yep.
part.
I
Oh,
mean, I guess you
man.
kinda got to. You have to just, I guess, lean into it.
Might as well.
I guess.
What else would you do? But
Yeah, that's what you're known for. You have a name, so might as well
yeah,
capitalize on it, I
yeah.
guess.
And I
Oh,
mean, there were
okay.
some other big news stories that I definitely remember. Like another big one, like was when Princess Diana died, and that was
Mhm.
everywhere. And I think I bought like the Elton John CD, the Candle in the Wind that he recorded
Mhm.
especially for her. So there were a lot of things, but it's like there's just so many to choose from. So
Well,
many.
good. Okay. That was a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
I
Yeah, and
feel
it was
like
definitely I can't believe that I know in my mind, in my brain, in my messed up screwy brain,
Mhm.
I mixed those 2 incidents together. In my
Mhm.
memory, Lorena Bobbitt cut off Joey Butterf that whole incident, but it
I
replaced him for some reason.
I
I
think
like
it
that you
might have
mixed them together, though.
I
I
know.
do like that you did that,
In
but,
another dimension, maybe that is what happened.
maybe they were close together and on the news a lot at the same time. I can't
It
remember when the
must have
Amy Fisher
been
one was. It was
it
early
must have been,
'90s
or
too.
it was a Mandela effect or something, who knows, but
Yeah.
Well, I could see, it was like a woman and a guy, and there was drama, and I
Mhm.
understand how there could be
Yeah.
some confusion, but
So I'll do mine.
Okay.
Because I don't know if anyone else has this, but one of my favorites, and I can't believe I remembered it, and then when I looked up the year, it was '93. I was like, "Okay, how do I remember this?" But do you remember the caning of Michael Fay, the kid who got in trouble in Singapore for
yes.
vandalizing cars? They
I
they
didn't know what
wanted
it was for, but I do
Oh,
remember
yeah. So
that,
you know,
yes.
Singapore does not play,
No.
and he was over there vandalizing cars, just causing a ruckus. I don't know if he was some rich kid, I don't know, but all of a sudden, the whole country got involved into stopping his, punishment, which was caning, so really just a rough spanking is what they needed him to
Mhm.
do, but I was like,
Mhm.
"I cannot believe our country is up here fighting for some kid not to get spanked." I got spanked all the time
But with
for
a
doing way
cane?
less. So
Right.
it doesn't matter. Don't go over there acting a fool. It really boils down to a caning. They weren't beheading you. They weren't chopping off
Sure,
any limbs.
sure.
It was a caning. Yeah, probably did hurt, especially if you've never been hit before.
I mean, I don't know what
That's
all
on your parents for not, toughening your
yeah,
skin up.
properly educating you, yeah.
Yeah, if you're
I
gonna
don't
act
know
like
what
that.
all is involved in a caning, but it sounds pretty brutal.
It sounds
why
pretty
is this the
brutal,
sec
but
so you're the second person to bring up this caning this week, and for
mhm.
some reason in my brain, I can't remember who
You
brought it
don't
up. I
remember
think
it?
it was John Senning.
Oh,
I think it was John Senning. I think
Huh.
he talked about it on their show, but
okay.
and it's so weird because I haven't heard about that incident in probably a decade, and now 2 people brought it up in the same week, so super
Huh.
strange.
Yeah, but
Interesting.
that was one of my favorites. I just remember in disbelief, I was like, "How is this news? I don't understand how this is." He really just essentially he just needs to get his ass beat real quick, and then they would send him
Yeah.
home. Like, just why are we talking about this?
I
But
didn't know about that one, but that's a
that
good
was
one.
a great one. Yeah, so that was
That is
mine.
a good one. No, it was Theo Von. Sorry, Theo Von
Oh,
was
okay.
talking
Oh,
about it.
okay.
Mhm,
That's funny you
mhm.
heard about the same one in the twice in
Yeah,
the
same
same
week.
week, though.
Yeah.
I feel like these '90s scandals, though, have longevity because, of course, I was a child since I was born in
Mhm.
'91, so I wouldn't have actually heard of them. But growing up, you just hear more and more stuff, especially living with Kelly. I'm sure I heard a
Yeah,
lot.
oh, yeah. It becomes part of pop culture, a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff, you know?
Mhm.
But my favorite one was the, Tanya Harding and Nancy
I knew it.
Kerrigan.
Yes,
I
Good
knew
one.
it.
that was a great
Because
one.
I just feel I feel, she shouldn't it shouldn't have happened. She didn't have to get her knee
Why?
busted and stuff, but I feel like I'm on that level of pettiness, not that far,
No,
not that
no, of
far, but
course
if
not.
someone does piss me off and I feel like I need to get what I need to get, I will. I have been known to steal little things here and there.
Mhm.
I think that's where I don't plan on going further than stealing little things, and when I say little things, it's like pens, it's usually pens. I
Sure.
just wanna inconvenience you just for a second, so, I mean, I can on the much further end of the spectrum, I can see where Tanya Harding was coming from.
Maybe that's where Tanya Harding started. Maybe she started stealing Pims.
Listen, I'm gonna try to stop at pins, though. I'm not gonna take anybody's knees out.
Before it gets to violence.
Yeah. You know,
Kelly
the thing
knows. She's been there when I've taken someone's pen that pissed me off.
She's like, "I'm keeping this." I'm like, "I don't even know that they'll notice, Allison." But in her mind, I was telling
Go
someone the
ahead.
other day, the other day at work when we were talking to Courtney, I was telling her, I was like, "Oh yeah, Allison likes to get back at people by blocking them for like a day or two, but they don't. A lot of times they're not even looking for her, so they don't know that they've been blocked. But it just makes her feel good."
Right, yeah. I can get
Yeah.
down with that.
She's like, "I'm blocking Dad for 24 hours." I was like, "Okay," because he doesn't even text you every day. He's not going to notice that you blocked him for 24 hours.
No, I
If
know.
it
He
Or any
had
type
no
of petty.
idea, but
if
Yeah.
it
like all
sent
the
a
petty.
message saying so and so blocked you, that'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Did
no,
you guys see
'cause
that movie with Tanya Harding, though? Since you mentioned Tanya Harding
yes.
with, Margot Robbie, that was so good.
Yes. So
I watched
good.
that.
Okay.
I did love that movie.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
the thing about Tanya is they like really I mean, she was awful for doing that, of course, but like they
Right.
just like made her out to be like some ugly, hideous, awful monster. And I'm like, this
I
poor
know.
Mhm.
woman. I mean, I almost felt bad for her in a way because it was like, Nancy Kerrigan was very beautiful and like a all
Mhm.
American girl type of thing. And I mean, I get the jealousy a little
Yeah.
bit.
It was just jealousy that went a little too far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Uh,
a little bit.
Still never take somebody's knee out, but
No, I don't think
No,
you need
yeah,
to
that
do
was
that,
too
but
far. She should just minorly inconvenienced her, but she took a
yeah,
little
like
bit
take
too
one of
far.
her skates.
yeah, dull her
Yeah,
ice
dull
blades
it
or
a little
something.
bit.
There.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
take
Remove the sequins from
yeah,
her
make a
skirt.
tear in her stockings or something. Just
Exactly.
something that's
Yeah.
gonna. She didn't have to take her whole knee out, but that's okay.
I mean, there were some others too that I thought
Kristen
of
did
that
I'm sorry, did
Oh,
Kristen
no,
go?
you're fine. Well, she had the Amy
Mine
or
Oh,
was Joey Buttafuoco slash
oh, that was
yeah.
Serena
her.
Bobbitt, which I thought was the same incident. Like, that's what I had actually
Well, is there another one that comes to mind for you?
obviously the Rodney King, which is gonna come up
We're
Mm,
gonna
soon
talk about that
in
one.
mhm.
yeah, and it's not for good reasons, definitely.
No,
No, of course
but
not.
It all has
I'll give
negative
the
vibes.
Mhm.
history of that one. I did
Mhm.
have one more though that I don't know. I'm sure we all remember, but it was late '90s and '97. The Mike Tyson biting off Evander Holyfield's
Yes.
ear.
Mm.
I
I
almost
watched that
chose
Yes.
this
live.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
that was
did?
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, live. We were watching it at my friend's house, the fight,
Wow.
and we all watched him bite his ear off live. It was crazy.
Ugh. And now
Oh,
they, like, joke about it. It's funny.
I
Yeah.
Because like, I think they were together recently, and he, like, made the motion, like, jokingly, like, going towards his ear, and I was just like, "Oh my
oh god,
gosh."
that's you gotta be a forgiving person. I mean, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that vividly, and, I also remember whenever Tupac was shot, and
Oh
I think I
yeah.
was pretty young too, but I remember that being a whole thing,
That was a
you
thing
Mhm.
when
know?
Biggie got shot. We also
Yep.
have, the O.J. Simpson trial. Oh my god, I
Oh,
The
yeah.
remember
90s
my
was
So many.
classes shutting
Yeah.
down that day because everybody was watching that
to watch
verdict
this
that day.
that high
Mhm.
speed
Yeah.
the verdict. I was talking about the high
The
speed
verdict
chase.
of
I
the
remember
Oh,
that
yeah,
oh,
too.
yeah.
yeah, well, we all saw that too, but no, the day of the verdict, I remember being in a building, I was supposed to have class, and I walked in, nobody was there, and then I
Mhm.
was looking around, and I found a room, and everybody that was in the building was, like, in this room glued to the television
Oh
because
my
they wanted to
Yeah.
see
gosh.
the verdict, so, yeah,
Mhm.
Mm.
I don't
crazy.
remember watching the trial as much, but I do specifically remember where I was when he was hauling ass in that white Bronco.
Yep.
I was
Wow.
camping, like, with my godmother we were at, like, some little campsite thing, and I remember I had lost a tooth that day because I was eating a Now and Later, and my little tooth popped right on out in the middle of the whole thing, and I don't know why I'm, like, remember it so vividly, but yeah, same. Everybody was crowded around the TV watching him
Mhm.
run from the police in that Bronco. But, yeah, that was a
Yeah,
crazy one.
that's crazy, but, yeah, when you start thinking about it, I was like, how did one decade have this many just wild,
I
not even, like,
know.
several very unserious, but just
Mhm.
wild stories
Yeah,
like
and some of
that?
Well,
them
I
were very, like the one that the Joey Buttafuoco one, like, I
Mhm.
mean, you think of it and it's kinda like almost like a silly thing or whatever, but then when you actually delve into the details and you're like, "Oh, no, this is messed up, like, what happened."
Yeah.
Or even
Mhm.
the Nancy Kerrigan thing, it's like, on the surface, it's like, "Oh, we joke about it," but really,
Deep
like, that's
down, yeah.
terrible. It's terrible the stuff that
mhm.
happened to some of the people in these
Yeah.
stories that we remember so vividly, but
It was all messed up at the time, but it just seems like there's so many stories that were just, like, specific people, you know what I mean? It wasn't like
Mhm,
a lot of
yeah,
our stories now are groups of people or nation, but,
Yeah.
like,
true.
these are just, like, people's stuff that happened at
Like
people's homes, and
one-offs,
we're like,
yeah,
"How are we" and
yeah.
we all got to hear about it, and it was these
They were
huge
like our
news stories.
reality stars almost,
Yeah, it's
before there was real
Mhm.
True.
reality TV, which is weird, but it's because they've
Mhm,
all ended up on, like, those shows where they put a bunch of has-beens together, like, you'll see
mhm,
one of those
mhm,
people from the '90s from those scandals, and I think
Yeah.
part of the thing too is that we didn't have the media and social media then, so when some crazy story came up, it was the only one we would hear about for,
right.
for a little bit, but
yeah,
now we hear about crazy stories every day, every minute,
Mhm.
and they kinda get
mhm,
lost in the shuffle.
You
that's
can't even
true.
keep
Um,
up.
yeah, you can't keep up
And
anymore.
that's the way I think about, like TV and entertainment and even movies and stuff now. It's like back then, you know, everybody was kind of watching a lot of the same stuff. Like, there was like one big popular show that was on during the week and everybody
Mhm,
was watching it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now there's so much that it's like even some of the most popular shows, it's like, nope, no, I've never even heard of that
Yeah,
because they come
True.
out
same.
so fast and they're just like gone
Oh.
with the wind as soon as the next new thing comes out. So it's hard to keep up. But I kind of miss those days when it was like you knew everybody knew everything about what was going on because we were all like watching the same stuff,
that's true,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
You
Or
I
had
agree.
to
TV.
whatever the
Yeah.
news chose to talk about, you didn't rely on just randoms on social media telling you
Right.
the story. It was
Yeah.
whatever they chose to put out, so,
Yep.
yeah. Alright, well, let's get started with some more '90s stuff, and we are going to start with Them Season 2. We've paired this episode with Tether Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley. The 2021 Cabernet is a blend of 71% Cabernet, 14% Merlot, 6% Petit Verdot, and 3% Malbec. This drinkable medium bodied red wine blend has soft floral notes and aromas of spiced plum, black currant, black cherry, tarragon, and pepper. Pair this robust wine with red meats, hearty stews, pastas, and mushrooms. Enjoy! For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks. So Them Season 2 is actually called The Scare.
Hmm.
And I don't think the first season had a name like that, but yeah, this one they
No, I don't
call
think
The
Mm.
so either.
Scare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like them season 2 and then subtitled The
The
Scare.
Scare. Yeah. But the
Mhm.
episode that I'm going to cover, episode 1, is called Are You Scared?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I am. Thanks for asking.
And this
No,
one
you
is
should be.
it's
I
scarier.
I watched the entire season, like, back when it first came out.
It's
Tried to watch it
impressive for
again
you.
last night for
Mhm.
the first episode. I just looked at my phone the entire time. I can't, because I was
Oh,
getting back memories of watching it the first time. I said, "I can't do this."
listen, you've made
Ugh.
me, like, super excited to hear about it because I
It's
love to
terrifying.
hear about it even though it's scary to me, so you've
Yeah,
really
so,
hyped this up for me, Allison.
listen, I'm not doing a rewatch. I'm just gonna have to rely on Kristen and
I'm
Kelly because
gonna
it was a lot.
Okay. Well, you can do like a rewatch and just look at your phone if you want
Yeah,
to. But
a
Yeah,
re-listen.
yeah.
just a re-listen.
So, Them Season 2, The Scare, is the second season of the Amazon original anthology series created by Little Marvin and executive produced by Lena Waithe, and it premiered in April of 2024. So, this season is again set in Los Angeles, but it's now 1991. And the story centers around the LAPD and the homicide department specifically. It stars Deborah Iorinde, who was Lucky last time, so she stays on it.
Mhm.
Pam Grier, Luke James, Joshua J. Williams, Jeremy Bobb, Wayne Knight, Carlito Olivero, and Charles Bryce.
So she's the same actress, but is she still Lucky in this
No,
season?
she's gonna play someone named Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah, but she is one of the. I think she's, for the most part, the only actor that carries over
Mm,
I
as
believe
far as like
so.
having a lead role and stuff. So the episode opens with a quote by Aristotle, and the quote is "Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil." And that screen fades out, and then we hear someone breathing deeply, and we see a person tied to a chair with a pillowcase over their head, and they're sitting behind a desk in what looks like a party supply or funhouse warehouse. So there's like mascots and costumes and balloons around and
uh-oh.
mannequins.
No wonder Allison was so freaked out.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
mascots.
that
So
part
many
that
mascots.
already was too much.
Mhm. And on the desk in front of the person is a birthday cake with lit candles. In the background, we hear the song "I Won't Grow Up" from the musical Peter Pan, and the person under the pillowcase is moving their head around because they're hearing noises around them. And then we see these robots moving around them, and there's also a video camera on a tripod set up right in front of them, recording this whole thing. So these robots look like they are the metal inside moving parts of those big costume robot guys that we would go to like at Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese.
Mhm.
So it would be like the skeletal of that. So they don't do much. They just kind of move around from side to side.
Ooh.
They're not like
Well,
running around the room or anything.
I don't know if you guys are familiar at all
Mhm.
because, I don't know if Kristen, your kids were ever into Five Nights at Freddy's, but my oldest child was super into Five Nights at Freddy's, and it is very popular. It's like a horror game, but
Mhm.
the characters are like though it's like a yeah, like a Chuck E. Cheese, and the character things come to life, and there's murder and all sorts of stuff. It's
I
probably
was
something not
I was
something I shouldn't
scared
have
of
let my
those
kid.
guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
now I think, like, this year at Halloween Horror Nights, they have,
The Five Nights at
um
Freddy's room, don't they?
yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
like a whole house, but they have, like, some of the characters there, and it's just that's what I think of when you say that because my
Mhm.
kid has exposed me to it so much. Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
yeah, that's
But they would be
what it is.
scary. They would be
Mhm.
scary.
So then we suddenly see another person's gloved hand come into frame, and they brush their hand over the head of the person in the pillowcase, like they're trying to pet them or soothe them. And the person in the pillowcase starts freaking out and crying, and the noises they're making are muffled, so they're probably gagged under that pillowcase. And they're thrashing around, avoiding that hand that keeps touching them. But then the gloved hand person gets a hold of the pillowcase and snatches it off of the person's head. But before we can see who is in the pillowcase, the screen cuts and the title "Them" appears on the screen. So we do not see who's under the pillowcase. We then cut to a close up shot of a woman's face as she is asleep in bed, and we see that it is Deborah Irinde, who played Lucky in season one, and she is playing an LAPD detective named Dawn Reeves. Her alarm clock goes off and it's 5 a.m., and she gets up to start her day. And then there's text on the screen that says Los Angeles, 1991. As she's getting dressed, we see that she has a little tube TV on her dresser, and it's showing the video camera footage of an event that took place on March 3rd, 1991, and it's the cops beating Rodney King.
Mm.
And then the TV show shows some quick news clips of the Rodney King scandal that took place in Los Angeles. So I'll do a quick history moment for those of you who either weren't around or don't remember or know the full story of this event. But what happened was on March 3rd, 1991, a black man named Rodney King was stopped by the police following a high speed chase. He was dragged out of his car and brutally beaten by four LAPD officers. They used stun guns on him and batons and attacked him and left Rodney King with a fractured skull, broken bones in his face, a broken ankle, and other injuries. And the video of the beating was filmed by a bystander named George Holliday. And that video hit the news and it was broadcast nationwide, causing public outrage against police brutality. But where this really made this a huge 90s memorable scandal and huge story that's become part of history is what happened after. So the LAPD police chief at the time, whose name was Daryl Gates, announced that the four officers that beat Rodney King would be disciplined for the use of excessive force and were set to face criminal charges. The four officers were charged and they had their day in court, but three of the officers were acquitted and a jury could not reach a verdict on the fourth officer, so they all walked.
Oh my
And within
gosh.
hours of those acquittals, in 1992, the Los Angeles riots began. And these riots lasted 6 days. There was news coverage of it all over everywhere. It was 6 days long. It was brought to an end after the National Guard was brought in to control the conflict. And the riots resulted in 63 deaths and over 2,300 injuries.
Whoa.
And then later, a separate civil rights case was prosecuted against the officers in April of 93. Two of the officers were found guilty and served prison terms. And in 1994, the city of Los Angeles awarded Rodney King $3.5 million in damages.
That's horrible what happened to him, but I would probably at this point in my life take some injuries to get some
To
money like
get,
that.
to get money, yeah. For this season, it takes place during this time with the police and racial tension of this going on in the backdrop. So that's kind of the background of everything that we're going to see this season. So just to help build the tension in the area of what's going on.
So she works for that same
She works
department.
for the LAPD, yeah. So
Okay, got it.
this is in 91. So trial hasn't happened, riots haven't happened, but the beating has just happened.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So Dawn is in the kitchen eating her breakfast when her mother comes in to say hi, and her mother is named Athena, and she's played by the gorgeous Pam Grier.
Mm.
And it's Dawn's birthday. Her mom teases her when she catches her sneaking a taste of the chocolate cake from the fridge. And Athena yells up to her grandson, who is Dawn's son, and he's still asleep in bed, to tell his mom happy birthday before she goes to work. So the three of them all live together: Dawn, her mom, and her son. Dawn gets a page, and work is calling, so she hugs her mom goodbye and she leaves. We then cut to Dawn arriving at a crime scene, and it's this cute little greenhouse on a corner in South Central Los Angeles. She was walking into the house and she meets two of her coworkers, Detective McKinney and Detective Diaz. And they get to the door, and an officer gives them a rundown of what they know so far. So the victim is a foster mom named Bernice Mott, and one of the foster kids called in the scene. Just as Dawn is about to walk through the door, she looks over and she sees a police officer throwing up behind the bushes in the front lawn. So we know that what they're probably going to walk in on is going to be gruesome.
Yikes.
Yeah. They walk through the house, and it's dark as the main breakers have been cut, and they note that there are no signs of forced entry. The house is not in a great livable condition. There's a lot of mold everywhere on the walls and the ceilings, and the thermostat has been set to 90 degrees. She notes a star-shaped clock on the dining room wall that has been broken, and it stopped at 3:17. They continue through the house, and they find a room that has 10 different shape and size TVs and speakers and radios all stacked together. So it's like a little mountain of TVs and stuff. And there's wires running through all of them, so they all work. They're just like stacked at the end of the bed, where you would normally have one TV. They just have a pile of them.
Mhm.
And the officer tells her that this is the room all of the kids were in when they arrived. Across the room, Dawn notices a closet door that is cracked open, and so she goes to check it out. And we see her make a face that tells you there's some awful smell in that room before you even see what it is. And when we do see what it is, she's looking at a bunch of junk all over the floor, and there are toys and dolls and then dozens and dozens of poop-filled diapers.
Ooh,
Yes.
yuck. In that
Not
90-degree house.
Yes, not even
Ugh.
folded up, just open. Like you
Blech.
see, yeah, it's pretty gross. There's also a space in that little closet that's empty, so it looks like something was there and then was removed, because there's just one perfectly empty little square. Dawn then starts to get overwhelmed, and we see her put her hand to her chest, and we hear her heart rate increase like the beginnings of a panic attack, but she quickly gets control of it when Diaz calls her name to come into another room. And when she walks down the hallway, there are two very neat, organized lines of cleaning supplies all lined up on either side of the hallway, so it's creating an aisleway between them. She gets to the kitchen, and that's where we see the main crime scene. Under the sink, crammed into that little space behind the door, is the body of an older, gray haired woman. Her limbs are severely contorted, broken, and deformed, and her head is attached to her body, but it's facing backwards and upside down.
Oh my.
It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
How
Her
it's
I know.
attached, but it's upside down
Yeah,
and
so it's twisted
backwards?
so bad that her neck is broken, so it's backwards, so it's facing her
Mhm.
back, and then flipped upside down. So that's how badly
Oh,
it's twisted. Yeah.
wow, that's yikes. I don't wanna look at that.
Yeah. Eyes are
Mhm.
wide open,
No,
and
mm-mm.
they're bulging out, and her mouth is frozen in a terrifying scream position. So that's what we see. So Dawn is describing the injuries to herself through her tape recorder, and she starts to have that panic attack feeling again. The scene then fades out and fades back in on a locker room. And we are looking at the back of a man, and he's sitting on the bench in this locker room in his underwear, listening to a motivational speaker on his Walkman. The motivational speaker is saying things like, "Imagine who you could be if fear was not an option." And then we see his face, and it's a black guy, probably in his early 30s. Nice looking guy, but also kind of nerdy looking. And he's got glasses and a 90s high top fade hair. And he stops his tape. He does a few cleansing breaths, and then he puts on a mascot head of a pig. He then heads down a tunnel and through a curtain, and then he's onto a stage.
Don't
And
look,
we
Allison.
Right?
You might wanna
and we
take your headphones off for this part.
right? And we see that he's a performer at one of those Chuck E. Cheese, like Showbiz Pizza children's birthday places. So he's dancing around on stage, and kids and parents are in the audience dancing and singing along at their tables. And apparently during his performance, he decides to try some new dance moves. I didn't notice him doing anything weird during this
He
performance,
did a
but
great job, actually. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, "All right." Yeah, I was dancing with the kids, but whatever he did, it was
Mhm.
not corporate approved, because later his manager is reprimanding him for improvising. So,
He's like,
Mhm.
"The hip
I think it was
thrusts
like
were not allowed."
Was it It
Where
Takes Two that was playing and he started, like, doing, like, The Running Man and
I
I
think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
yeah.
Was it, like, trendy, like, dances at the
Yeah.
time or
Wasn't supposed
something
to
Yeah.
maybe?
maybe he's just supposed to stick to, like, Step Touch or something like that, and he was doing
Probably,
too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So after his manager finishes telling him off, the performer, whose name is Edmund Gaines, tells him that he has to go because he has an audition. So Edmund is an actor trying to make it in LA. We now go back to Dawn, who's walking into the LAPD headquarters, and outside there are protesters standing with signs, and they're upset about the Rodney King beating. So they have all these signs yelling at the police. She goes into the building, and there are TVs showing the news coverage of the police chief, Daryl Gates. So they used real news coverage from back when Daryl Gates
Mm.
gave his press conference, and he's addressing the Rodney King situation. Dawn stops to look at the TV when a handsome man, whose name is Reggie, walks up behind her and makes a remark to two white officers that are standing near them, also watching the press conference. And he stands close to her, but still behind her, and smiles and kind of leans into her space a little. So she calmly tells him he needs to back up. And then he leans in further and says, "Cuff me." And she just walks away. So we get the sense that the two of them may have had some sort of romantic relationship or something, because it was kind of flirty. Dawn meets with her lieutenant, and who is played by Wayne Knight, who you know from Seinfeld, and tells him that she wants the Mott case as her murder case. He says that's fine, but you are partnered with McKinney, and he will be the lead detective. So now Dawn, and she does not like McKinney, and he's kind of,
To
I don't
not
know, he's,
see the guy from Seinfeld and not think of Newman, though, like, he is
yeah,
Newman to
Newman,
me
yeah,
always. Yeah.
yeah. So the Lieutenant Wayne Knight is Newman. So her partner McKinney, who's going to be the lead detective, he's kind of like old school cop guy. He has his ways of doing things, and he doesn't really want to hear anyone else's opinion. He's kind of set in his ways, maybe mildly racist, and maybe he just kind of has lived here so long and knows these communities that he's like, these people act like this. He just doesn't want to see things a different way. So that's why she has trouble working with him. McKinney and Dawn take this that older kid who called in the police to the crime scene. They take him into the interrogation room to ask him some questions, and they're asking him about what he saw. And his name is Malcolm, and he is shaken, and he says, "I didn't see anything." Dawn tells him that she knows that he did not do this to his foster mom, but she asks him, "Did you hear anything at that time?" And Detective McKinney, who believes that Malcolm did it, like he's already decided that kid did it, he starts cracking his knuckles, and that sound seems to trigger Malcolm. And he's like cracking his neck. He's making all these noises because
Mhm,
of the way that woman's body, so much stuff was broken. I think he's trying to trigger that sound and maybe
Mhm.
like freak him out. And it is, but he's
mhm.
not the one who did it. So it's freaking him out for a different reason. And, McKinney's like, "Well, you're a big boy, Malcolm." And he starts asking Malcolm, "Did you ever play football?" And Malcolm does not answer. But McKinney starts talking to him about how he played football and he was a linebacker. But he says, "Malcolm, I bet you played fullback." So he's just making these a lot of assumptions about this black kid.
Mhm.
He's trying to insinuate that Malcolm is the only big guy in that house that could have been capable of causing those injuries. And Malcolm's only like 17 years old, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I didn't know if he was, like, 12 or
No.
yeah.
Yeah. Dawn gives McKinney a look like she does not like this line of questioning. And McKinney goes on to suggest that Miss Mott had abused and beat Malcolm when he was younger because he has had calls out to that home before, so maybe Malcolm now got his revenge on her. McKinney makes him look at photos of the murdered body, and Malcolm tells him that, he's not really he kind of says something like he's not really upset about the lady being dead. I don't think he really cared for her, but he did not kill her. But Malcolm is still shaking. He can't look at the photos, and he starts crying and telling them he does not know what happened. McKinney keeps pushing and cracking his neck and making more noises to freak him out, and he's doing this whole bully cop act when Don jumps in and stops him by telling Malcolm he has a right to an attorney and asks him if he wants one to be contacted. And McKinney is pissed because he thought he was onto something, but she shuts it
Mhm.
down.
Because even if he got him to falsely confess, he probably would've just ran with it, which is awful, but
Hmm.
he probably would've.
Yeah, so I think she saw where his head, and she's like, "Let's just stop all of this then."
Mhm.
The scene cuts, and we are with Edmund at his audition, and he is reading for the role of a thug or gang member. So he has on a velour bright turquoise tracksuit, a thick gold chain, and then he just before he starts his lines, he throws on a do-rag to get into character. And as soon as he starts speaking the lines, he delivers them in the least street way possible. He makes it sound more like he's reading Shakespeare. He has perfect diction. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very laughable. And
That's
so
funny.
there's this other black guy in the room, the audition room, and he's running the camera, and he can't help but smirk because it's just so bad. And then there's 2 white ladies in there who are the heads of the casting, like the casting director and probably her assistant or something, and they have to stop him because it's just completely the wrong direction. So Edmund is asked to do it again. They give him some notes. They're like, "Okay, try it again." But before he starts again, he turns his back to them, and then he starts doing some quick vocal and diction warm-ups. So, like,
Like what?
yeah, I don't know. He's just
Oh.
making, like, the noises that you do to, like, warm up your
Oh,
mouth and stuff, yeah.
okay. Like,
He turn Yeah.
like that?
He turns back around, and he has his hand raised now like he's pointing a gun at the camera while he's delivering the lines. And this time, while he is significantly louder because he's yelling, it's still not any more hood or gangster. The diction is still perfect. It's still very nerdy. It's just not working. And now he's making the white ladies uncomfortable. And a camera guy is just tickled, and he can now no longer hold in the laughter, and a few giggles pop out.
It reminded me of Malibu's Most Wanted when Taye Diggs got the part to be the gangster and he was practicing and he's like, "Oh, no, that's not it, that's not
Yeah, yeah, it was that,
it."
yeah. Just putting way too much thought into this, yeah.
That's funny you brought up Malibu's Most Wanted. That came up in conversation for me, like, within the last week or so because there's this other movie I love with, Mitch Mulaney called The Breaks. I don't know if anybody else has seen it.
Mm-mm.
I
Feel like I've heard
am
of that.
obsessed with that movie, and it's so silly, and it's just one of those goofy kinda it's like a white kid gets adopted by a black family, and he's, like, useless, and the mom sends him out for milk one day, and she's like, "You better bring me back this milk," and so it's, like, his adventures the whole day. It's got so many cameos in it. It's got the guy that's, like, Cole from Martin is his little sidekick friend.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, it is such a funny movie, but yeah, it's kinda reminds me of Malibu's Most Wanted because he's like that, but anyway, you should watch
Yeah.
it.
So after his second try at this audition, we see Edmund's face, and he feels embarrassed, and he looks like he might cry. He's still just standing there in front of the camera. He's trying to pull himself together and stay in character, but you can tell he's, like, breaking. We then cut to Edmund walking out of his audition, and as he's walking out, he passes, like, 20 other black dudes waiting to audition for that same part, and they're all dressed up in various patterns of red, black, and white, looking more like gang members, but they also all have on khaki pants, so they really just look like gangsters that work at Target. I don't think any of them really captured the gang member look that they needed to, but
They just
they
were
did.
trying to do it from the waist up.
Yeah,
Maybe
they
they
did a much
budgeted
Khakis were
for
better
that.
job
popular back in
in the
don't you remember
turquoise.
Dr. Dre's line about does he still wear his khakis with the crease? Anyway, the khakis were
Oh,
popular
okay. I
back
Uh,
guess,
then.
yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I think my mind went out of the '90s. I was like, nobody wanted to throw on jeans, but you're right. We're still in the '90s. Yeah, but, like, every last one had on khaki, which it's fine, but, like, all of you did that? So now that you say that it's based on one thing, they're probably all trying to dress as this one thing. Yeah.
True, true.
But he was the Edmund was the only person in a velour tracksuit, like, nobody else had on velour. On his way out of the casting director's office, there's a cute receptionist there, and she asks him how the audition went, and she gives him a big smile. He smiles back and tells her, "This role wasn't for me, but the next one will be." She tells him, "That's the spirit. The universe don't quit on the ones who won't quit." And she says, "I'm not an actor, but I see a lot come through here, and the ones that make it are the ones that never stop trying." He tells her thank you, and then he gives her a stack of tokens from his workplace for her son. And she thinks it's sweet that he remembered that she has a son.
It's kinda weird that he's just carrying them around, but whatever.
Yeah,
I'll take them.
I did think that was weird, but I'm like, I don't know, I don't know, that's where you work, and
That's like
maybe
the
because
thing.
he remembered she had a son, so maybe he intentionally
Oh,
brought them
okay.
for her,
That's
yeah,
true, that's
yeah.
true. I didn't know if he just had them all the time like some kinda little coin fairy or something, just
Yeah.
blessing people here and there.
So she says thank you and, says that her son might stop by his place of work soon. Edmund gets in his car, and that smile that he had for the receptionist is now gone, and he just looks dejected. He just sitting in his car, and he stares at the casting director's door for hours. So the scene goes from day when he gets into his car, and it's now nighttime. He's still just sitting in his car, staring at that door with no expression on his face. He then sees the receptionist walk out with the guy who was running the camera at the audition, and the two of them hug goodbye, and it doesn't look like it's romantic at all, more like friends, possibly even relatives, like, it's just a quick hug, but this pisses Edmund off, and he says to himself, I'm gonna straight fuck you up, homeboy. Keep fucking with me." Now, this line was said much more gangster than anything he did in his audition.
Like, you
Like,
should
had
have
he just
channeled that
taken that,
energy.
yeah,
Yeah.
that energy, it'd have gone much better. Back with Dawn as she arrives home from work, she goes around the house to the garage to say hi to her son. So they have a detached garage in the back, and they've taken it and made it into a little music studio for him to practice the drums. And then she goes into the house, and her mom is in there cooking dinner. And Dawn asks her mom about the dent that she noticed in her car and why she didn't say anything about it. So in this talk with her mom, we learn that her mom may have some sort of nerve damage or some condition that maybe she really shouldn't be driving anymore. After dinner now, the family is together while Dawn opens her presents, and she gets an old frame photo of herself as a kid, and the three of them are laughing together and talking about Dawn as a child. The camera cuts away from the family in the dining room area, and then it swings around to the kitchen, and we're looking out of the kitchen window so that we see the garage in the back, and then the lights start to flicker. And we see that the motion detector lights that are in the back attached to the garage, they start to go off and on, and then the bulbs all pop. We then go back to Edmund's workplace. It's the next day, and he is dressed as a regular worker there now, so he's not in costume. And he's staring blankly, kind of zoned out, when that cute receptionist from the casting director's office walks in with her son. They say hi to him, and Edmund offers her son some pizza. And she tells Edmund, "You're really good with kids." And he says, "Well, my parents are teachers, so that's probably where I learned it from." And they start to talk about his acting career again. And she says that she gets scripts that come through there all the time, and she's going to find something that would be a good role for him. And he is thrilled by this, and the two of them exchange phone numbers. We go back with Dawn again, and she is now at the orphanage or wherever they're keeping the foster kids from the house. So they put the little one somewhere together. And she talks to one of the kids, it's a little girl, and she's chatting with her, getting her to feel comfortable and open up about how bad things were at Miss Mott's house and how mean she was. And the little girl tells Dawn that this week, though, Miss Mott was more scared than anything. And Dawn asks her what Miss Mott was scared of, and the little girl says, him. She tells Dawn that she did not know the man that Miss Mott was scared of, but Miss Mott did not want to fall asleep, and she did not want the kids to fall asleep either. So then there's a quick and abrupt cut and we get to see what happened in the house that night. So we see Miss Mott sitting in the bed with three of the smaller kids with her, and she's holding them all. And all of the TVs that we saw all stacked up, they're all on. And the stereos that are stacked up with them, they're all on, turned all the way up. So there's so much noise, and
Ooh, I
it's
don't like
blaring
that.
loud music. And you see one of the little kids covering their ears. And Miss
Mm.
Mott is just screaming at the top of her lungs, "He's in the house! He's in the house!" And she just keeps screaming it over and over. And now the kids are screaming because they don't know what's going on. And the older kid, Malcolm, is in the room. He's also screaming, but we're all screaming because there's so much music. So he's
Right.
trying to get her to calm down.
Yeah.
So he's screaming like, "Stop, stop." And then suddenly all the electronics are off. And then the little girl is in bed waking up in the middle of the night. The other kids are asleep next to her in the bed, but Miss Mott is gone. The girl looks over, and her older brother, Malcolm, is asleep curled up on the floor next to the bed. And then the little girl hears a sound. She hears a snapping sound and then a screaming sound from somewhere in the
Ugh,
house.
Ooh, that's
just ugh,
gross.
the
Oh,
sounds alone. That
the
it was all
sounds
done very
rough.
well because you thought you were there. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, imagining, like, what she was experiencing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So she hears that sound. She sits straight up in the bed, and she looks out in the hallway, and she sees a box of Cheer laundry detergent sitting there. And then it cuts back again very quickly to present day, and Dawn is holding and rocking the little girl who's scared all over again from telling that story. Back at Dawn's house, her mother, Athena, is in the kitchen doing her food prep for dinner when she hears a quick scream noise. Like, this one was very like, if you weren't paying attention, you might have missed the noise too, because
Mm.
it was very strange and real quick. And she calls out to her grandson, but he's in the garage with headphones on playing drums, and the lights flicker again. Athena is shaken by the noise, and we see her looking down at her trembling hands, one of which is still holding the knife. We cut over to Edmund in his apartment, and he's looking at himself in his underwear in a three-way mirror. He pushes the mirror back. He walks into a closet that has a bunch of mannequin heads on the top shelf in the
Mm,
closet, and some have wigs on it. Not odd, I guess, if you're
okay,
a wig
okay.
collector,
True, true.
but, I don't know, it should give you an eerie feeling.
Yeah.
And then in the closet, there is this wooden toy chest. And he opens up the toy chest, and then there is a small Raggedy Andy doll laying on top of a quilt. And he picks up the doll, and then we hear a bunch of cartoon sounds and music playing in the background. And then there's this crazy cartoon maniacal laugh as well. So at first I thought, I don't know if Kristen and Allison, if you remember, at first I thought maybe was the sound supposed to be coming from the doll, but then I thought maybe it's just background music. I don't know. Like, it made me feel like that laugh, he was hearing it through the doll.
I
I'm not really
think
sure.
I think he was watching cartoons and it's meant to show, like, how juvenile he actually is.
Okay.
There's this, like, kinda we get this idea that he's strangely juvenile, I think.
Okay, because I don't remember and I might have looked away. I didn't remember that, like, a TV being on with cartoons in the background. I just remember all this noise of
I could be
cartoons, so
wrong. I mean, I could
it
be wrong.
might
I
be
need to go
yeah.
back and look at the scene. Mhm.
Mhm. But I think that's probably more likely. It might just be, like, he keeps all his toys and stuff,
I was
which I
looking away at this point, so I don't
I
know.
kept my, Raggedy Ann and Andy doll for quite some time. I don't
You
know, I think my
did,
mom finally got rid of
and
it, but
Oh, you did get rid of your mom got rid of 'em?
she might
she
have.
needs to.
Oh.
Why? Because it's the Annabelle doll?
Right, that's what I
Mine
was
looks
gonna
exactly
say.
like Annabelle, yeah.
You did. I remember that doll. It would pop up everywhere in the house.
Oh.
I had a little toy chest just like that, and I kept it for a long
Mhm.
time, yeah.
When I was a baby, my grandmother had somebody make me, it sounds weird, it's like a little clown doll, but it didn't really look like a person. It was
Mhm.
made with, like, these circles of fabric that were all attached together to make, like, the body and then these 2, like, 4 legs, whatever, and it
Mhm.
had kind of a clown face. It sounds hideous because it was hideous, but I loved that thing, and I don't know where it went, but, like, as an adult now, I think I would be freaked out by it because it was weird, like, it was
Hmm.
weird. I don't even know what
Mhm.
that thing was, but it
Mm.
was sweet that somebody made that for me.
If you find a picture of it, because I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
picture it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to maybe, like, sketch it or something because it was weird. It was like the legs hung down almost more like an animal. I don't know.
Hmm.
I can't explain it. It sounds hideous, but it
Mm.
was kind of creepy looking, but I loved it.
Yeah. We cut again, and Dawn is now home from work, and she goes upstairs to peek in on her son and her mom, and they're both asleep in their beds. She goes down to the kitchen and has a glass of wine as she looks over the photos and notes for her case. She puts the photos of Miss Mott folded up under the sink on the floor in front of the sink, her sink cabinets. And she pulls out all the cleaning supplies from under her sink so that their space is empty now. And she crawls into the space to see how an adult body could get in there, and when she's in there, she tries to twist herself up in a similar position that Miss Mott was found in. And as she's doing this, she has her headphones on and she's listening to her notes that she took while she was going through the house. And she notices suddenly, now that she has it listening to it through her headphones, that she can hear a strange voice and breathing on the tape that was not present when they were in the house. So she keeps rewinding the tape and playing it again over and over, trying to figure out what that extra voice is saying. And then out of nowhere, we hear on the tape, loud and clear, a demonic sounding voice ask, "Are you scared?"
Ooh, yes, I am.
Yes.
And I was
Dawn
done.
yes, Dawn freaks out, she throws the tape off, she throws her headphones off, and she scrambles out from under the sink, and she has that panic feeling starting to hit her again, and she's trying to catch her breath, and that's where the episode ends.
Oh, I do not like that, and she's all up under the
Mhm.
sink, like, stuck in there whenever that she hears
When
it?
she hears it, and then she just rushes out.
Oh, I don't like
Yeah,
that. I don't like
yeah.
that. Ugh.
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
very scary. That's a very
It is.
scary way to end the episode.
Yes, yes. So, yeah,
The
some
series does a good job of leaving us on kinda
cliffhangers.
not even
Mhm.
cliffhangers, but it's almost like a terrifying moment that you're left on,
Mhm. Yeah,
which
that's true,
Mm.
is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it makes you wanna keep watching. They do a good job of wanting to keep watching and go to the next episode.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued so far, and honestly, one of the weirdest things was the laundry detergent.
Yeah, all the cleaning supplies lined up down the hall.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where why or
maybe
where that comes in. I'm sure we find out, but
this demon was just a clean freak, I
yeah.
guess. Hmm. But I
That's
see,
episode
Allison,
1.
why you're hesitant to rewatch it
Yeah, I'm
because
not going to.
There's a lot of
y
visuals in this that were scary to
Mhm.
look
It's
at
the
in the first
visuals
one.
and the sounds alone were
yeah.
just like, I mm-mm.
Is it that way through
Mhm.
the whole season 2?
Yeah.
Like, more kinda
Mhm.
Mhm.
jump scary type
Oh,
visuals?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wanna watch it, but I also would like to not have nightmares, so
I'll share a photo of
No!
Bernie's Mott with you, and then
No,
I
you
please
can
know, because
don't.
No? Okay,
it's
It's
I won't.
so weird. I won't even
I
post
took a
that
picture of the
picture, but
screen when I was
don't wanna
watching it,
see it.
actually, so
yeah.
I'm scared.
I have a picture I took.
Oh,
Yeah, show it to her because it won't be one
no!
that I post. You know, I post some of the them pictures, but I won't do that
Yeah, you'll
picture.
Okay.
see it anyway, but yeah, I'll put it there so that you can add it if you want to,
Just
Kelly.
send it to her in
Okay.
the middle of the night. She won't
No. Listen,
Oh, damn.
I was scrolling TikTok last night, and I was about to get up and make myself a little midnight snack, and it was literally just a girl who it was her sitting at a table, and like, I don't know, a couple seconds in, like, it looked like her eyes rolled back. I don't know if it was a filter, if it was just something cool she did, if it was makeup effects, I don't know. But it looked like her eyes rolled back and they were all white, and she was just, like, singing to the camera. I couldn't get out of my bed after that. I was like, "Not
Oh.
happening." And it
Oh.
wasn't even really scary, it just really freaked me out. So if
Mhm.
you're gonna send it, just tell me so that I can click into the group chat from far away and sort of look out of my peripheral,
Are you gonna click it and
Okay.
then run and
and
then
then I
see
might
how
be
to
okay.
sneak up to the
Yeah,
picture?
yeah, like, I don't wanna accidentally
Peek
click
just peek
into
my
it.
fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 maybe I'll, like, turn the brightness down on my screen, and then we'll see.
She's gonna have her kids checking all her texts before she opens them for the next week.
Give them nightmares?
No,
Be like,
no,
"Hey, tell me what's in this real quick."
my kids would be like, "And?" I mean, my son told me he watched Terrifier, and I was like,
Oh,
"I
then he can
wish that
handle it.
you'd yeah, yeah. He's way more desensitized than I am, so
Well,
just
thanks,
don't
guys.
scare me."
That was
Yeah, that
episode
was great.
Thank
1.
you.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm hooked already, so
Yeah, this will be a fun little journey, but we will be back next week with episode 2, and Kristen will tell us about that one.
awesome.
Thanks.
Thank
Awesome.
Alright.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
For more information about our episodes, follow us on Instagram at Fear and Wine Pod. And if you have a fun discussion question that you'd like for us to answer on the podcast, send it to us at fearandwinepod@gmail.com.